I had a comment from someone who said, "Stop talking like you're a doctor. You don't know anything." And my response to that is, I know way more than most doctors. I would never talk like a doctor because I have no respect for their entire field. I have no respect for the entire institution of Western medicine. They failed us dismally during COVID. And I already didn't trust them because of the reasons I've already told you. And I trust them even less now. I will never trust the experts ever again. I am my own expert. One of the comments I get most commonly on social media is, "What? You're 52? I get that like every day because it's something that I drop every now and then. I feel like I always have to announce my age because I know I can pass for younger. And a lot of people lie about their age and do pretend to be younger, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that mutton dressed as lamb. I want to be authentic and upfront about who I am and the life I've lived. And I'm very proud of the fact that I'm a Gen Xer, that I was born in the 70s, and I got to live through the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Such a glorious era in the life of the planet. So, I therefore often drop the fact that I'm a Gen Xer, that I was born in 1972, that I'm 52 years old. But yeah, people always ask me, what's your secret? So I'm going to try and attempt to answer that question in this video. What is my secret to looking good at 52? And I suppose the most obvious answer, the first one that comes to mind for a lot of people is good China don't crack, because I'm Chinese, right? Or Asian don't raisin. Those are the expressions you often hear. And yeah, there is an element of truth to that, but it's not just the fact that we're Asian, but it's the fact that we've been handed down in our cells the effects of our ancestral diet that then manifests in our genetics. Do you know what I mean? It's not just the fact that you have Asian genetics, but it's the way we've always eaten, the way our ancestors have eaten. It's the fact that the 38 trillion cells we have, I think that's the figure, something like that, are all individually encoded with our mom's genetics, which come about from our diet, our individual diet and our ancestral diet that's handed down. Does that make sense? So yeah, there's the Chinese traditional diet that I was brought up on, but my ancestors ate as well. And that was mostly built around eating real foods, meat, seafood, vegetables, fruit, and very little processed carbohydrates, especially the ultra-processed carbohydrates that we get today. Ultra-processed carbs are the foods that I believe cause people to be puffy, fat, swollen, and that's just, that's not just your face, but your body and your joints. They cause inflammation, so all kinds of problems. And the less we eat that stuff, the healthier we will be inside and out. I firmly believe that. And as I've been getting older, I've been embracing more and more of a real food diet and eating less junk. In my 20s, I ate loads of garbage. You know that period in your life when you first move out and you live on your own and your mom's no longer feeding you? Because my mom fed me a perfect diet. And it was a traditional Chinese diet. And when I moved out, I started eating junk, like instant noodles and Pop-Tarts and all that kind of stuff. And it showed. And my health went downhill. So I actually look a lot better now at 52 than I did in my late 20s. When it was in my late 20s when my diet was at its worst. I was suffering from candida, and I had an awkward, how do I say? Let me just come right out and say it. I had an itchy bum I was like around 27, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I thought I'd caught some sexually transmitted disease. And so I went to the doctors and they tested me for everything and there was nothing wrong. I hadn't caught anything. So they just said, don't know, can't help you. And finally, my GP gave me some, what's this ointment called? Dactacort, antifungal stuff to apply. And that was about it. And some anesthetic, like painkiller, but wasn't able to offer any advice. And the craziest thing was, the doctor never asked me what I was eating. And this is why I have no respect for doctors, because they should, everything is down to diet as far as I'm concerned. Everything that I've learned about health and wellness and poor health and illness is about diet. But doctors, most ordinary doctors, don't ask you about diet. They're not even trained in it. And so my doctor didn't. And do you know how I learned what was wrong with me? I was watching TV one day and Dr. Gillian McKeith came on TV. She used to have a program in the 2000s called You Are What You Eat. And that was the whole premise of her show was to diagnose people with health problems by looking at what they eat. And they would lay on a table all the food that they ate in a week. And there was this one bloke who was on and the table was full of white foods, bread, pasta, crisps, all kinds of like processed, ultra processed carbs. And she just took one look at it, that table full of processed white, sugary, carby foods, and said, "You must have an itchy bum." And I was like, "I've got an itchy bum and I eat those foods." And that was the solution. That program changed my life, because if I'd kept on eating this diet, which was so far from my ancestral diet, because I'd moved to the UK on my own and I was no longer being fed by my mum, and I struggled with money, and I ended up eating loads of instant noodles and toast and pasta and not enough meat, vegetables and fruit, and just everything that I ate was processed, and that manifested in the form of candida. But if you eat like this all your life and you don't do anything about it and you get more and more bloated, because these foods are clogging for your digestive system, they bind you up inside, and you end up not being regular, and regularity is crucial to your health, to pass out all those toxins. So you end up, your body becomes a sack of putrefactive mucoid waste, essentially. Yeah, a sack of putrefactive mucoid waste, and you look like one if you continue with this type of diet. And if I'd kept on the way I was, that would have been me. But I had symptoms, my itchy bum, that told me that I needed to do something. So it was the fact that I was eating all this garbage, living on my own in the UK, and I'd strayed so far from my ancestral diet that my body didn't know what to do with it. Because if your ancestors have eaten this diet, which none of our ancestors lived on ultra-processed carbs, they didn't exist before, but I would argue that still, I suppose, Brits are more used to eating bread and stuff like that than us Asians. So because I was brought up on a meat, seafood, and vegetable diet with a bit of rice, my body didn't know how to handle all this gluten, this processed wheat, and all these sugars, ultra refined products, and it messed up my insides, and then it manifested on my outside. But the crazy thing when I look back to that period is that a program like Dr. Gillian McKeith's You Are What You Eat was on mainstream television back in the 2000s. But this kind of stuff isn't in the mainstream anymore. This type of health advice. Where was this type of health messaging during COVID? You remember when they were trying to demonize vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, and they tried to convince people that it was conspiracy, that those things prevent illness, and that the only thing that could save you was a vaccine. This is why we have lost this knowledge, and I put it down to corruption. So I feel that Dr. Jim McKeith saved my life. So if you're listening to this, if you're out there somewhere, Jillian, thank you so much. If I hadn't seen your program that day, just by chance, it was just on telly. I wasn't even watching, but then I was like, oh my God, she said itchy bum. Do you know what? This is so humiliating for me to be sharing this with you right now. But, you know, this is part of what we do as YouTubers and TikTokers. We lay it all out there. And, you know, this is what I do for a living now. So, yeah. And this is, to me, this is a really important story, because if it saved my life, it could save your life. And it's also in answer to the question that I get every day, like, what's your secret to being 52 and fabulous? Well, it's just eating right. As simple as that. Well, it's more than just eating right. It's also, it's a combination of eating right and having the right outlook, minimizing stress. You know, stress and anger are the most aging things. If you have it's quite simple. If you have an angry look on your face all the time, that creates wrinkles and it makes you ugly and old looking. And not that old is ugly, but you know what I mean. A frowning grimace type of old. Yeah, I try to live my life in a permanent state of Enya-like calm. If you come at me, you tap me, try and ruin my day, I'm like, who can say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time. Because that is another crucial aspect of staying young, is being calm and stress-free and having a good night's sleep every night. And all of these things together with your diet form a holistic approach to health and wellness, which we seem to have forgotten today. I declined the COVID vax. I didn't think I needed it because I have a strong constitution, strong immune system. I very rarely touch pharma. Wasn't brought up with a medicine cabinet. If there was something wrong, the illness would just work its way through our system, but my mom just made sure we ate right. My grandmother raised us on herbal remedies. She made us drink herbal potions every day. And all of this gave me a strong constitution, and I don't catch colds. I've not had a cold in years. So it's all down to this holistic approach I'm talking about. And you could argue that, a lot of people have been saying that RFK Jr.'s approach right now is, they're very threatened by what he's doing. They're saying he's trying to take down pharma. But I don't think he is. I think he's trying to make the industry more accountable and more honest and less fraudulent. But it's also, I think, a return to a more holistic approach to health. Prevention is better than cure, and prevention is cheaper than cure, right? Because that's another aspect of what he's doing that aligns with Doge. It's about saving money, because healthcare costs a fortune. So it's an attempt to bring down the national healthcare bill. And it starts with taking better care of your health so you don't end up on all these meds. Meds have never been the answer. They just treat your symptoms and mask your symptoms a lot of the time. But they can give you other symptoms that require other meds. And then before you know it, you're on a cocktail. So I think my interpretation of MAHA, Make America Great, Make America Healthy Again, is taking a more holistic approach to health and being less reliant on meds. But just the other day, I posted a video about RFK Jr. and his autism study. And if you haven't watched it yet, you should. I'll put it at the end of this video. But I had a comment from someone who said, stop talking like you're a doctor. You don't know anything. And my response to that is, I know way more than most doctors. I would never talk like a doctor because I have no respect for their entire field. I have no respect for the entire institution of Western medicine. They failed us dismally during COVID. And I already didn't trust them because of the reasons I've already told you. And I trust them even less now. I will never trust the experts ever again. I am my own expert. And funnily enough, this is what Trump advised. He said, I think it was last year, he said that the most important advice he could give to people now for their future is to become your own doctor. Learn how to take care of yourself and your family. What an amazing thing for a president to say, huh? It was so refreshing to hear this from someone in his position. And my respect for him went way up when I heard that. Because that's not what he's supposed to say. That's a very revolutionary thing for a president or any politician to say. To take your health into your own hands. Did anybody else hear him say that? And who else out there is a supporter of RFK Jr. and Maha? I mean, I don't think he's our great savior. He still is part of the system. He's still working for the man, right? But I just think it's refreshing that somebody is trying to shake things up a little bit, just a little bit, and just make people think about health, to not be so beholden to vested interests and try to seek a bit more accountability, right? Do you know what I mean? Anybody else out there support this? And has anyone else out there been through a journey of self-healing like what I went through? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel and also hit that bell so you get notified my new videos, because all these things make a huge difference to me as a new YouTuber. Thank you for watching, and I'd love to hear from you whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, I'm always open to hear what you have to say. Have a great day or evening.